When basketball legend Michael Jordan walked into a South Side Chicago McDonald's on a Friday night, manager Marcus Williams thought he was just serving another customer. He had no idea he was about to become part of the most important conversation of Jordan's life, or that his own act of kindness 3 years earlier had already changed everything. What happened next would prove that sometimes the most extraordinary stories begin with the most ordinary moments, and that real heroes don't always wear jerseys with their names on the back. Marcus Williams wiped the sweat from his forehead as he straightened his red McDonald's polo shirt. The golden arches on his name tag caught the fluorescent light as he walked across the busy restaurant floor. Outside, car horns honked on 95th Street, while the smell of fresh French fries filled the air inside the South Side Chicago location. It was 7:30 on a Friday evening in October, and the dinner rush was in full swing. Families packed into red booths, teenagers shared orders of 20-piece chicken nuggets, and the drive-through line wrapped around the building like it did every weekend. Marcus had been managing this McDonald's for 3 years now. At 26, he wore his manager uniform with pride, even though his dreams stretched far beyond the golden arches. He wanted to own his own restaurant someday, but right now, he needed this job. His 19-year-old sister, Keisha, was in her second year at Chicago State University, studying social work. Their grandmother needed help with her medical bills. The uniform he wore wasn't just clothing, it was responsibility. "Marcus, we need more Big Mac sauce up front," called Tamika from behind the counter. She was one of his best workers, always. Reliable even when things got crazy busy. "On it," Marcus replied, heading toward the storage room. As he walked past the wall of framed pictures, he stopped for a moment at an old photo of Michael Jordan eating at a McDonald's. It was from one of those commercials back in the day where Jordan promoted McDonald's breakfast with Larry Bird. Marcus had watched that commercial 100 times as a kid. Growing up in Chicago during the Bulls' championship years in the 1990s, Marcus had lived and breathed basketball. Jordan's number 23 jersey hung in his bedroom all through high school. The man wasn't just a basketball player to kids like Marcus. He was proof that greatness could come from anywhere. Jordan had grown up in North Carolina, but Chicago claimed him as their own. Marcus grabbed 2 containers of Big Mac sauce and returned to the front. The restaurant buzzed with Friday night energy. Construction workers grabbed quick dinners before heading home. A little league team celebrated their win with Happy Meals and chocolate milk. An elderly couple shared an apple pie, holding hands across their table. "Table 12 needs extra napkins," said 16-year-old Devin, one of Marcus's part-time workers. Devin reminded Marcus of himself at that age, eager to work, respectful to customers, always asking questions about the business side of things. Marcus grabbed a handful of napkins and delivered them to the family at table 12. Their youngest daughter, maybe 5 years old, wore a Bulls jersey with Jordan's number 23. She smiled up at Marcus with ketchup on her cheek. "Nice jersey," Marcus told her. "My daddy says Michael Jordan was the best basketball player ever," she said proudly. "Your daddy's right," Marcus replied, wiping the ketchup from her face with a napkin. As he walked back toward the counter, Marcus glanced at the clock. 7:43 p.m. His shift would end at 11 and then he had to study for his restaurant management certification test. Sleep would have to wait until after midnight, like it did most nights. The bell above the entrance door chimed as another customer walked in. Marcus looked up from the register where he was helping a customer and felt his heart stop. Standing in the doorway, wearing a simple black Nike tracksuit and white Air Jordan sneakers, was a man who looked exactly like Michael Jordan. Same height, about 6'6", same athletic build, same confident way of carrying himself, same unmistakable face that Marcus had seen on posters, trading cards, and TV screens his entire life. But it couldn't be him. Could it? Marcus finished helping his current customer, his hands starting to shake slightly. The man in the tracksuit approached the counter, and up close there was absolutely no doubt. This was Michael Jordan, the Michael Jordan, standing in Marcus's McDonald's like it was the most normal thing in the world. Other customers were starting to notice too. Whispers spread through the restaurant. Someone pulled out their phone to take a picture, but the man held up his hand politely. "Evening," Jordan said, in that familiar voice Marcus had heard in countless interviews and commercials over the years. His voice was calm, friendly, like he was just another customer. "Could I get a Big Mac meal with large fries and a Coca-Cola, please?" Marcus opened his mouth, but no words came out. He just stood there, completely frozen, staring at his childhood hero. Jordan smiled gently. "You okay there, young man?" Yes, sir, Mr. Jordan," Marcus finally managed to say, his voice cracking like he was 16 again. "Big Mac meal, large fries, Coca-Cola. Coming right up." Behind him, Tamika had stopped what she was doing and was staring too. Devin looked like he might faint. The entire restaurant had gone quieter, though people were trying to pretend they weren't watching. "Just call me Michael," Jordan said with that famous smile. "And thank you." Marcus's hands trembled as he punched the order into the register. $8.47 for a meal that would feed the greatest basketball player who ever lived. It felt completely surreal. "Will that be for here or to go?" Marcus asked, his voice steadier now, but his heart still racing. "For here," Jordan replied. "Been driving? For a while. Need to stretch my legs a bit." As Marcus processed the payment, he couldn't help but wonder what Michael Jordan was doing in this particular McDonald's. This wasn't the Gold Coast or River North where celebrities usually went when they were in Chicago. This was the South Side, where Marcus had grown up, where his grandmother still lived just 4 blocks away on 91st Street. "Marcus, right?" Jordan said, reading his name tag. "How long you been working here?" 3 years as manager, sir," Marcus replied, handing over the receipt. 5 years total with McDonald's." Jordan nodded thoughtfully. "That's good. Consistency matters in any business. Shows character." While they waited for the food to be prepared, Marcus watched Jordan interact with other customers. A young boy, maybe 8 years old, tugged on his mother's sleeve and whispered loudly, "Mom, is that really Michael Jordan?" Jordan overheard and walked over to their table. "What's your name, little man?" he asked the boy. "Jalen," the boy said shyly, looking up at Jordan with wide eyes. "Well, Jalen, you study hard in school, okay? And if you play basketball, remember that practice makes perfect, but school comes first." Jordan ruffled the boy's hair gently before returning to the counter. Marcus watched this interaction with amazement. Here was someone who could eat at any 5-star restaurant in Chicago, who probably had personal chefs, and people waiting on him hand and foot. Yet he was treating everyone in this South Side McDonald's with the same respect and kindness he'd show anyone. "Order up," called out the kitchen staff. Marcus grabbed the red plastic tray and carefully arranged Jordan's meal on it. Big Mac, large fries, large Coca-Cola, and some extra napkins. "Here you go, Mr. Jordan," Marcus said, sliding the tray across the counter. "Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate it." Jordan took the tray, but didn't immediately move toward a table. Instead, he studied Marcus's face for a moment. "You know, you remind me of someone." "Oh?" Marcus said, curious despite his nervousness. "Yeah, myself, actually. When I was about your age, working different jobs, trying to figure out my path in life." Jordan paused, his eyes serious. "You got plans beyond this place?" The question hit Marcus right in the chest. No one had asked him that in a long time. Most people saw the McDonald's uniform and made assumptions. "I'm working on my restaurant management certification," Marcus said, surprised by his own honesty. "Want to open my own place someday, something that serves the community." Jordan's eyes lit up with genuine interest. "That's ambitious. What kind of restaurant you thinking about?" "Something like this, but better," Marcus replied, gesturing around the McDonald's. "Good food, prices people can afford. Maybe hire local kids, give them opportunities to learn the business, help them build something." "Like this place has done for you?" Marcus nodded. "Exactly." Jordan smiled and started walking toward a corner booth. But as he sat down, Marcus noticed something strange. Jordan kept checking his phone and looking toward the door, like he was waiting for someone important. The evening rush continued, but the energy in the restaurant had changed. Word was somehow spreading that Michael Jordan was inside, and a small crowd had gathered outside, pressing their faces against the windows to get a glimpse. "Should I call security or something?" Tamika asked Marcus quietly. "No," Marcus said, watching Jordan eat his Big Mac slowly and methodically. "Let's just keep things normal." He seems like he wants to be left alone. But Jordan didn't seem entirely comfortable. Every few minutes, he would check his phone again and glance toward the door with what looked like worry in his eyes. Something was happening here that was bigger than just a celebrity stopping by for a quick meal, and somehow, Marcus Williams, a 26-year-old McDonald's manager from the South Side, was about to become part of a story that would change everything he thought he knew about heroes, family, and the power of showing up when it matters most. Marcus tried to focus on his work, but his eyes kept drifting to Jordan's corner booth. The basketball legend sat alone, slowly eating his Big Mac while checking his phone every few minutes. Each time he looked at the screen, his face grew more worried. At 8:15 p.m., the Friday night crowd was starting to thin out. Most families had finished their meals and headed home or to evening activities. The Little League team had cleared out, leaving behind empty Happy Meal boxes and the excited chatter that comes after a big win. Jordan had been sitting in the same booth for over 30 minutes now. His meal was long finished, but he hadn't made any move to leave. Instead, he kept staring at his phone and glancing toward the entrance door. "Marcus," Tamika whispered as she wiped down nearby tables. "Something's wrong with him. He looks really sad." She was right. The confident, larger-than-life Michael Jordan from commercials and championship celebrations had been replaced by someone who looked worried and alone. His shoulders sagged slightly, and he kept running his hand over his face in a gesture that reminded Marcus of his own father during tough times. Marcus made a decision. He grabbed a fresh cup of coffee and walked over to Jordan's table. "On the house," Marcus said, setting the cup down in front of Jordan. "You look like you could use it." Jordan looked up, surprised by the gesture. "That's very kind of you, Marcus. Thank you." Marcus hesitated for a moment, then slid into the booth across from Jordan. "I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you look like you're carrying the weight of the world right now." Jordan let out a soft chuckle, but there was no humor in it. "Isn't that what fathers are supposed to do?" "Not alone," Marcus replied, without thinking. "Trust me, I know something about that." Jordan raised an eyebrow. "Oh?" "Been taking care of my little sister since our parents passed 3 years ago," Marcus explained. "Sometimes it feels like I'm drowning, you know? But I've learned that talking about it helps, even if it's just to a stranger." For a long moment, Jordan just studied Marcus's face. There was something in his eyes, a recognition, maybe, or respect, for someone who understood responsibility. "My son Marcus," Jordan said finally, his voice quiet. Yes, same name as you. He's been struggling for a while now. College dropout, can't seem to find his direction in life. We had a huge fight about 6 months ago, and he stormed out of the house. Haven't heard from him since. Marcus felt his chest tighten. The pain in Jordan's voice was raw and real. That must be incredibly hard. The worst part is, I don't even remember what the fight was about, Jordan continued, staring down at his coffee. Something about money, probably, or his choices, but the things we said to each other. He shook his head. Words can't be taken back once they're out there. But people can be forgiven, Marcus said gently. That's what I tell my sister when she makes mistakes. We all mess up sometimes. Jordan looked directly at him. You really believe that? That forgiveness is possible after you've said terrible things? I have to, Marcus replied. Otherwise, what's the point of trying to be better? They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Outside, the crowd of onlookers had mostly given up and moved on. The restaurant felt quieter now, more intimate somehow. So why here? Marcus finally asked. Why this McDonald's? I mean, no offense, but you could probably eat anywhere in Chicago. Jordan smiled sadly, and for the first time that evening, his expression softened with something that looked like love. This is where I used to bring him when he was little, Jordan said. After Bulls games, especially the home games that ran late, we'd stop here for dinner. He'd get a Happy Meal and tell me about his day while I tried to wind down from the game and all the noise. Marcus felt a lump forming in his throat. That sounds really special. He loved those little toy cars that came in the Happy Meals, Jordan continued, his voice getting quieter. Had to be cars, not the other toys. I probably spent more money on Happy Meals than most families spend on groceries in a month, just to see him smile when he found a new car in that red box. What? Changed? Marcus asked softly. Jordan's expression darkened, and he looked older somehow. I did. Got too caught up in business deals, in being Michael Jordan the brand instead of just being his dad. Started missing his basketball games, his school events, parent-teacher conferences. By the time I realized what was happening, he was already pulling away from me. The pain in Jordan's voice made Marcus think of his own relationship with Keisha. How many times had he been so focused on paying bills and being responsible that he forgot to just be her big brother? When was the last time you tried to reach out to him? Marcus asked. 2 weeks ago, Jordan replied. I hired a private investigator to find him. Turns out he's been living here in Chicago this whole time, working construction jobs, staying in a small apartment on the west side. Marcus's heart started racing. And you contacted him? I wrote him a letter, Jordan said, pulling out his phone. Told him I was sorry for everything, that I missed him, that I wanted to make things right between us. I asked him to meet me here tonight at 8 p.m. Marcus looked at the clock on the wall. 8:35 p.m. Jordan had been waiting for over half an hour. I told him I'd wait as long as it took, Jordan continued, that I wasn't going anywhere. Maybe he just needs more time, Marcus suggested, though he could see the doubt creeping into Jordan's eyes. Maybe he's not coming at all, Jordan replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Maybe I hurt him too badly. Maybe some things can't be fixed. The bell above the door chimed, and both men looked up hopefully. But it was just a teenager coming in to pick up a DoorDash order. Jordan's shoulders sagged again. I keep thinking about the last thing I said to him, Jordan continued, staring at his hands. I told him he was throwing his life away, that he was wasting all the opportunities I'd given him. What kind of father says that to his son? "A father who was scared," Marcus replied. "A father who didn't know how else to help." Jordan looked at him with surprise. "You're pretty wise for someone so young." "Had to grow up fast when my parents died," Marcus said. "But I've learned that sometimes the people we love push us away because they're hurting, not because they don't care anymore." Jordan nodded slowly. "So what do I do now? Just keep sitting here, hoping?" "You keep waiting," Marcus said firmly. "And you keep believing that love is stronger than pride. That's what my dad used to tell me before he passed. He said real love doesn't give up, even when things look hopeless." Jordan smiled for the first time since Marcus had sat down. "Your parents raised a good man, Marcus." "They tried their best," Marcus replied. "Just like you're trying to do with your son." At 8:45 p.m., Marcus noticed movement in the parking lot. A young man in a worn denim jacket was pacing back and forth near the entrance, stopping every few steps to look through the windows. He appeared to be in his early 20s, tall and athletic like Jordan, with the same strong jawline. Marcus's pulse quickened. "Michael," he said quietly, nodding toward the window, "I think you should look outside." Jordan followed Marcus's gaze and immediately sat up straighter. Even from a distance, the family resemblance was unmistakable. The young man had Jordan's way of carrying himself, though his shoulders were hunched with uncertainty and what looked like fear. "That's him," Jordan whispered, his voice filled with a mixture of hope and terror. "That's my son." They watched. As the younger Marcus continued pacing, running his hands through his hair in a gesture that perfectly mirrored his father's nervous habit. Several times he approached the door, only to turn away at the last second. "He's scared," Marcus observed. "So am I," Jordan admitted. "What if he just leaves? What if he can't forgive me for the things I said?" Marcus could see the years of regret and pain written across Jordan's face. This wasn't about basketball championships or business empires. This was about a father who had lost his way and a son who had been hurt by the person he looked up to most in the world. "Give him time," Marcus said softly. "He came this far. That has to mean something." For 10 more agonizing minutes, they watched the younger Marcus struggle with his decision. At one point, he pulled out his phone and appeared to be texting someone, maybe asking for advice or encouragement. Then Jordan's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and his face went completely pale. "What does it say?" Marcus asked. Jordan's voice shook as he read the message aloud. "I can see you through the window. I've been out here for 30 minutes. I don't know if I can do this. I'm still so angry." Jordan's hands trembled as he typed back. Marcus could see the message on the screen. "I'm scared too, son. But I love you. We can take this as slow as you need to." The response came quickly. "I'm angry with you, but I miss you too." Jordan closed his eyes, and Marcus saw a tear roll down his cheek. "He misses me," Jordan whispered. "Text him back," Marcus urged. "Tell him you're not going anywhere." Jordan typed, "I'll sit here all night if I have to. No pressure at all. Just know that I'm here, and I'm not leaving." Through the window, they could see the younger Marcus reading the message. He stopped pacing and stood perfectly still for a long moment, staring at his phone. "What if he walks away?" Jordan asked Marcus, his voice filled with fear. "Then you'll try again tomorrow," Marcus replied, "and the day after that. That's what love does. It doesn't give up, even when it's hard." At 8:55 p.m., the younger Marcus finally made his decision. He walked slowly toward the entrance, stopped with his hand on the door handle, took a deep breath that both men could see even from inside, and pushed the door open. The bell chimed, and father and son stood looking at each other across the restaurant. The silence stretched between them, heavy with 6 months of hurt, misunderstanding, and love that had never really gone away. But there was something in the younger Marcus's eyes that his father couldn't see yet. Something that would explain not just why he had stayed away for so long, but why this reunion was about to become the most important conversation of both their lives. "Hi, Dad," the younger Marcus said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. His hands were shoved deep in his jacket pockets, and he stood near the door like he might bolt at any second. "Hi, son," Jordan replied, slowly standing up from the booth. "Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure you would." Marcus Williams watched this reunion unfold, feeling like he was witnessing something sacred and private. He started to slide out of the booth to give them space, but Jordan held up his hand. "Marcus, please stay," Jordan said, his eyes never leaving his son's face. "I'd like you to meet my boy. Marcus, this is Marcus Williams. He's been keeping me company while I waited for you." The younger Marcus stepped forward and extended his hand to Marcus Williams. His grip was firm, confident despite the uncertainty in his eyes. "Nice to meet you. My dad was talking about me?" "Just met your father tonight," Marcus Williams replied. "But he's told me a lot about you. All good things." "That's surprising," the younger Marcus said with a bitter edge to his voice. "Last time we talked, there weren't many good things to say." Jordan winced at the words. "Son, please, can we sit down? Are you hungry? Can I get you something to eat?" The younger Marcus looked around the restaurant, taking in the familiar red booths and yellow arches. A small smile crossed his face. "I could eat something, I guess." "What would you like?" Jordan asked eagerly. "Happy Meal," the younger Marcus said, and for a moment he looked like the little boy his father remembered. "With a toy car, if they still do that." Jordan's eyes filled with tears. "Of course! Marcus, could you help us with that?" Marcus Williams stood up quickly. "Absolutely. What kind of drink?" "Chocolate milk," the younger Marcus replied. "Extra cold." As Marcus Williams walked to the counter to place the order, he could hear the two men settling into the booth behind him. The conversation was quiet, tentative, like two strangers trying to remember how to talk to each other. "This place hasn't changed much," the younger Marcus was saying. "Neither have you," Jordan replied. "You look good, son. Healthy, strong." "Construction. Work will do that to you." Marcus Williams processed the Happy Meal order, trying not to listen but unable to help himself. When he returned to the table with the red box and chocolate milk, both men looked up at him gratefully. "Thank you," the younger Marcus said, opening the box immediately. Inside was a small red race car, exactly like the ones he used to collect as a child. He held it up to the light, examining it carefully. "Still like cars?" Jordan asked hopefully. "Never stopped," his son replied, slipping the toy into his jacket pocket. "I have all the old ones at home, every single one from when I was little." Jordan's face lit up. "Really? I thought you might have thrown them away when you got older." "I thought about it," the younger Marcus admitted, "especially after our fight. But I couldn't do it. They reminded me of the good times." "There were good times," Jordan said softly. "A lot of them." The younger Marcus took a bite of his chicken nuggets and looked directly at his father. "So why did you want to meet here? Of all the places in Chicago, why this McDonald's?" Jordan shifted uncomfortably. "I thought you might remember all those nights after games when we'd come here. You'd tell me about school, about your friends. I felt closer to you in this place than anywhere else." "I remember," his son said quietly. You used to let me stay up way past my bedtime just to come here with you. Your mother hated that, Jordan chuckled. Said I was spoiling you. Maybe you were, the younger Marcus replied. Maybe that's part of the problem. The mood at the table shifted. Jordan's smile faded, and his son's expression hardened again. What do you mean? Jordan asked. The younger Marcus put down his chicken nugget and leaned back in the booth. Do you know what it's like being Michael Jordan's son? I can imagine it's not easy, Jordan replied carefully. No, Dad, you can't imagine it, his son said, his voice getting stronger. Every school I went to, every team I tried out for, every job I applied for, people expected me to be you. They expected me to be this perfect athlete, this perfect student, this perfect person. Jordan started to speak, but his son held up his hand. Let me finish, the younger Marcus continued. When I was little, it was fun. People knew who I was. They wanted to be my friend. But as I got older, I realized they didn't want to be friends with me. They wanted to be friends with your son. Marcus Williams sat quietly, watching this conversation unfold. He could see the pain in both men's faces. The father, who had never understood the burden he'd placed on his child, and the son, who had carried that weight alone for years. I tried so hard to live up to your name, the younger Marcus continued. I played basketball until my knees gave out. I studied business because I thought that's what you wanted. I dated girls you approved of, went to parties with kids from families you knew. But none of it was me. Why didn't you tell me? Jordan asked, his voice breaking. Why didn't you say something? Because I was afraid you'd be disappointed in me, his son replied. The great Michael Jordan's son, admitting he didn't want to be great? Admitting he just wanted to be normal? Jordan reached across the table, but his son pulled his hands away. When I dropped out of college, it wasn't because I was lazy or ungrateful, the younger Marcus said. It was because I was drowning. I was failing classes because I was studying something I hated. I was miserable, and I didn't know how to tell. You, that everything you thought I wanted was actually killing me inside. Son, I never wanted you to be miserable, Jordan said desperately. I just wanted you to have opportunities, to be successful. Successful at what? His son asked. At being you? At living your life over again? What if I don't want to be successful the way you define it? The restaurant around them had grown quiet. Even Marcus Williams could feel the intensity of this conversation. These weren't just words. This was years of hurt and misunderstanding finally coming to the surface. So, what do you want? Jordan asked quietly. What would make you happy? The younger Marcus looked out the window for a long moment before answering. I want to help people. Real people. Not rich people who can afford personal trainers and fancy gyms. I want to work with kids who grow up like I did, with everything handed to them, but missing the most important thing, which is a connection to something real, his son replied. A purpose that isn't about money or fame or being better than everyone else. Jordan leaned forward. Tell me more. I've been volunteering at a community center on the west side, the younger Marcus said, teaching kids basketball, helping with homework, just being there for them. And you know what I learned? What? I learned that the kids who need help the most aren't the ones with no money, his son said. They're the ones like me, kids with every advantage in the world except parents who actually see them for who they are. Jordan sat back, stunned. Is that how you see me? As a parent who doesn't see you? I see you as a parent who loves the idea of me more than the reality of me, his son replied. You love Michael Jordan's son. I'm not sure you even know who Marcus Jordan is. The words hung in the air between them like a challenge. Jordan looked at Marcus Williams, then back at his son. "You're right," Jordan said finally. "I don't know who you are, but I want to learn. I want to know the real Marcus Jordan, not the one I created in my head." His son's expression softened slightly. "It might not be who you expect." "I don't care," Jordan replied. "I just want my son back." The younger Marcus picked up the toy car from the table and rolled it back and forth between his hands. "There's something else, Dad. Something I need to tell you about why I really stayed away for so long." Jordan braced himself. "What is it?" "It's about the community center," his son said, "and about a kid there who reminds me of myself at that age. His name is Damon, and his story is going to change everything you think you know about being a father." Marcus Williams leaned forward slightly. Whatever the younger Marcus was about to reveal, it was clear that this conversation was about to take a turn that none of them expected. The younger Marcus took a deep breath and pulled out his phone. He scrolled through his photos until he found what he was looking for, then turned the screen toward his father. "This is Damon," he said. "He's 8 years old." Jordan looked at the photo and felt his breath catch. It showed a young black boy with bright eyes and a cautious smile, wearing a faded Bulls jersey that was 2 sizes too big for him. He was holding a basketball that looked almost as big as his torso. "He's a beautiful kid," Jordan said softly. "Where did you meet him?" "At the Garfield Community Center on the west side," his son replied. "I started volunteering there about 4 months ago, right after I moved to Chicago. Damon comes in every day after school because his mom works 2 jobs, and there's nowhere else for him to go." Marcus Williams listened intently, recognizing something familiar in this story. He thought about his own childhood, coming home to an empty house while his parents worked multiple jobs to make ends meet. At first, Damon was angry all the time, the younger Marcus continued, getting into fights with other kids, throwing basketballs against the wall, refusing to do his homework. The staff didn't know what to do with him. "What did you do?" Jordan asked. "I sat with him," his son replied simply. "Every day, I'd find him in whatever corner he was hiding in, and I'd just sit there. Didn't try to talk or cheer him up. Just sat." Jordan looked confused. "That's it?" "For the first 2 weeks. Yeah. Then one day, he asked me why I kept bothering him. I told him I wasn't bothering him. I was just making sure he knew someone cared whether he was there or not." Marcus Williams felt his throat tighten. That simple gesture, just showing up, was something he wished someone had done for him when his parents died. "What happened next?" Jordan asked. The younger Marcus smiled, and for the first time that evening, it reached his eyes. He started talking. Turns out he wasn't angry. He was scared. Scared that his mom would leave like his dad did. Scared that he wasn't smart enough for school. Scared that nobody really cared about him. "That's heartbreaking," Jordan said. "But here's the thing, Dad," his son continued, his voice growing more serious. "As I got to know Damon, I realized something that changed everything for me." "What?" "I realized that I was Damon," the younger Marcus said quietly. "Different circumstances, but the same fear. I was scared that you only loved me because I was supposed to be this perfect version of what you wanted. Scared that if I wasn't successful enough, smart enough, athletic enough, you'd leave too." Jordan's face went pale. "Son, I would never—" "I know you wouldn't leave physically," his son interrupted. "But emotionally? Dad, you checked out on me years ago. Every conversation became about my grades, my future, my potential. When was the last time you asked me how I was feeling? What I was thinking about? What made me happy? The question hung in the air like an accusation. Jordan opened his mouth to answer, then closed it again. He couldn't remember. That's what I thought, his son said sadly. You see, helping Damon taught me something important. Kids don't need perfect parents. They just need parents who see them, really see them, for who they are. Marcus Williams found himself nodding. He thought about his sister Keisha, about how he tried so hard to be responsible that sometimes he forgot to just be her brother. So I made Damon a promise, the younger Marcus continued. I promised him that no matter what happened, I would show up. Every day, for as long as he needed me. And you know what happened? Tell me, Jordan said. He started to believe in himself. His grades improved. He stopped getting into fights. He even joined the basketball team at his school. The younger Marcus paused. But more than that, he started to trust that someone could love him exactly as he was. Jordan wiped his eyes. That's amazing, son. You should be proud of what you've done for him. I am, his son replied. But Dad, that's not the part that's going to change everything. There's more to the story. He pulled up another photo on his phone, this one showing Damon with a young woman who looked to be in her late teens. She had a warm smile and was wearing a Chicago State University sweatshirt. This is Keisha, the younger Marcus said. She's been helping me with the kids at the center. She's studying social work at Chicago State, and she's incredible with them. Marcus Williams's heart stopped. Keisha! The younger Marcus looked at him in surprise. Yeah, Keisha Williams. Do you know her? That's my sister, Marcus Williams said, his voice barely above a whisper. The three men stared at each other in stunned silence. Jordan looked from Marcus Williams to his son and back again. Your sister has been working with my son? Jordan asked. For 4 months, the younger Marcus said, still processing this revelation. She never mentioned her brother worked at McDonald's, but she talks about you all the time. How you've sacrificed everything to take care of her. How you're her hero. Marcus Williams felt the world spinning around him. His sister had been working with Michael Jordan's son this entire time, and neither of them had known. She calls you her guardian angel, the younger Marcus continued. Says you work 2 jobs and still find time to help her with her homework, drive her to school when she's running late, make sure she has everything she needs. I just do what needs to be done, Marcus Williams said modestly. That's exactly what she said you'd say, the younger Marcus laughed. She told me about the time you sold your car to pay for her textbooks, then rode the bus to work for 6 months until you could afford another one. Jordan looked at Marcus Williams with new respect. You sold your car for your sister's education? Marcus Williams shrugged. She needed those books more than I needed convenience. See, Dad? The younger Marcus said. That's what I'm talking about. That's real love. Not love based on what someone achieves or how successful they become. Love that shows up no matter. What? Jordan was quiet for a long moment, absorbing everything he'd heard. So your sister is the Keisha who's been helping you with the community center? She's amazing, his son replied. The kids adore her. She has this way of making everyone feel special, like they matter, and she's been encouraging me to reach out to you. She has? Jordan asked, surprised. She said family is the most important thing, the younger Marcus explained. That pride shouldn't keep people apart who love each other. She said her brother taught her that love means showing up, even when it's hard. Marcus Williams felt tears welling up in his eyes. He had no idea his sister had been talking about him, or that she'd been encouraging Jordan's son to reconcile with his father. There's something else, the younger Marcus said. looking nervous again. "Something I need to tell both of you." "What is it?" Jordan asked. "Keisha and we've been talking about starting a program together. Something bigger than just the community center." "What kind of program?" Marcus Williams asked. "A mentorship program that pairs kids from different backgrounds," his son explained. "Kids like Damon who need support, and kids like I was who have everything but feel lost. The idea is that helping each other helps both groups." Jordan leaned forward, interested. "That's a wonderful idea. But here's the thing," his son continued. "To make it work, we need space. A real facility where kids can come after school, on weekends, during the summer. Somewhere they can play sports, get homework help, learn life skills, and just be safe." "That takes money," Jordan said. "A lot of money." "I know," his son replied. "That's why I've been afraid to tell you about it. I didn't want you to think I was only reaching out because I needed financial help." Marcus Williams watched this conversation unfold, understanding now why the younger Marcus had been so hesitant to come inside. This wasn't just about reconciliation. It was about a dream that required his father's help. "Son," Jordan said carefully, "what exactly are you asking me?" The younger Marcus took a deep breath. "I'm asking if you want to help us build something that could change kids' lives. But I'm also asking if you can do it without trying to control it, without making it about your vision instead of ours." Jordan sat back, processing this request. Marcus Williams could see the wheels turning in his mind, the businessman weighing the opportunity, but also the father trying to understand what his son really needed from him. "Before I answer," Jordan said slowly, "I need to ask you something." "What?" "If I said no, if I couldn't help with the money, would you still want a relationship with me?" The younger Marcus looked his father directly in the eyes. "Dad, I didn't come here tonight because I need your money. I came because I need my father back." But there was still one more surprise waiting, one that would reveal why this meeting had been destined to happen, and why Marcus Williams had been chosen to witness the most important conversation of Michael Jordan's life. Jordan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. His hands shook slightly as he unfolded it and placed it on the table between them. "Before we talk about the future," Jordan said quietly, "there's something I need to show you both." Marcus Williams looked at the paper and gasped. It was a business plan, professionally printed with charts and graphs. The title at the top read, "Jordan Community Development Initiative. Building Dreams, One Child at a Time." "You already have a plan?" the younger Marcus asked, his voice filled with surprise. "I've been working on this for 8 months, Jordan replied. "Ever since our fight, I've been trying to figure out how to make things right. Not just with you, but with the community. I realized I'd spent so much time building my brand that I'd forgotten why I started playing basketball in the first place." "Which was?" Marcus Williams asked. "To prove that a kid from nowhere could become something," Jordan said. "But somewhere along the way, I stopped caring about other kids from nowhere. I got caught up in making money instead of making a difference." The younger Marcus studied the papers, his eyes growing wider with each page. "Dad, this is exactly what Keisha and I have been talking about. How did you know?" Jordan smiled sadly. "Because you're my son. Even when I wasn't listening to your words, I was watching your heart. And your heart has always been drawn to helping others." Marcus Williams looked at the plans over the younger Marcus's shoulder. The scope was incredible. A 50,000 square foot facility with basketball courts, classrooms, computer labs, a library, and spaces for community meetings. "This would cost millions," Marcus Williams said. $15 million to be exact, Jordan replied. I've already secured the funding. But money isn't the hard part. The hard part is finding the right people to run it. People who understand the community, who care about more than just their paycheck. The younger Marcus looked up from the papers. You want us to run it? I want you to design it, Jordan corrected. You and Keisha and Marcus here, if he's willing. You understand what these kids need because you've been there. You know what works and what doesn't. Marcus Williams felt his heart racing. I don't understand. Why would you want me involved? I'm just a McDonald's manager. Jordan looked at him seriously. Marcus, do you know why I came to this particular McDonald's tonight? Because this is where you used to bring your son? That's part of it, Jordan said. But there's more. He pulled out his phone and showed them a photo. It was a newspaper clipping from 3 years ago with the headline, Local Manager Helps Family in Crisis. Marcus Williams's face went pale. He remembered that day clearly. 3 years ago, Jordan continued, a family came into this McDonald's. A mother with 3 young children, counting change to see if they could afford a single Happy Meal to share. Do you remember that day, Marcus? Marcus Williams nodded slowly. Mrs. Johnson and her kids. They'd been evicted from their apartment. What did you do? Jordan asked. Marcus Williams looked uncomfortable. It wasn't a big deal. I just gave them some food. Tell them what really happened, Jordan pressed gently. Marcus Williams sighed. I bought them dinner. All of them. And I gave Mrs. Johnson my phone number and told her to call me if she needed help finding a job or a place to stay. And, Jordan prompted, and I helped her find work at a local cleaning company. She's been there ever since. Her kids are doing well. In school now. The younger Marcus stared at Marcus Williams. You changed their whole life. Mrs. Johnson's oldest son is named Michael, Jordan continued. He's 15 now, and he plays basketball at his high school. Last month, he wrote a letter to the Chicago Tribune about the man who saved his family. That man was you, Marcus. Marcus. Williams felt tears welling up in his eyes. How do you know all this? Because I read that letter, Jordan said, and it reminded me of something I'd forgotten. That real heroes aren't always famous people. Sometimes they're just regular people who do extraordinary things when nobody's watching. Jordan pulled up another photo on his phone. It showed a teenage boy in a basketball uniform smiling widely while holding a trophy. This is Michael Johnson, Jordan said. He led his team to the city championship last month. In his interview after the game, he said he played for the man at McDonald's who believed in his family when nobody else would. Marcus Williams buried his face in his hands. I had no idea. That letter is why I decided to build the community center, Jordan continued. And it's why I chose this location for tonight. I wanted to meet the man who inspired me to remember what really matters. The younger Marcus looked at his father with new understanding. So this whole thing, meeting Marcus, learning about Keisha, it's all connected? Life has a way of bringing the right people together at the right time, Jordan said. I came here tonight hoping to reconnect with my son. I had no idea I'd also meet the man who inspired my biggest dream and discover that his sister has been working with you all along. Marcus Williams looked up, his eyes red with emotion. But I don't know anything about running a community center. You know everything about caring for people, the younger Marcus said. That's more important than any business degree. Jordan nodded. Marcus, you've been managing a team, serving a community, and raising your sister while pursuing your own education. Those are exactly the skills we need. What would you want me to do? Marcus Williams asked. Be the general manager, Jordan replied. Oversee the daily operations, hire and train staff, make sure the programs actually serve the kids who need them most. Marcus Williams felt overwhelmed. I don't know if I'm qualified for something that big. 3 years ago, Mrs. Johnson probably thought she wasn't qualified to start over, the younger Marcus said. But you believed in her anyway. Now, I'm asking you to believe in yourself. Jordan leaned forward. Marcus, I've made a lot of mistakes, as a father and as a man. But I've learned something important. Success isn't about how high you climb. It's about how many people you lift up along the way. And you think I can do that? Marcus Williams asked. I know you can, Jordan replied, because you've already been doing it. The question is, are you willing to do it on a bigger scale? Marcus Williams thought about his sister, about his dreams of opening his own restaurant, about the responsibility he'd carried for so long. Then he thought about Michael Johnson and Mrs. Johnson and all the other families who might need someone to believe in them. Yes, he said finally. I'm willing. The younger Marcus reached across the table and shook Marcus Williams's hand. Partners? Partners, Marcus Williams replied. Jordan smiled wider than he had in months. Then we have a deal. But there's one condition. What's that? His son asked. We do this together. All of us. As a family. Jordan looked at both young men. Not just blood family, but chosen family. People who care about each other and about making the world a little bit better. I'd like that, the younger Marcus said softly. So would I, Marcus Williams added. Jordan pulled out his phone. I think it's time we called Keisha and let her know what's happening. She's going to be a big part of this too. As Jordan dialed the number, Marcus Williams realized that his life had just changed completely. A few hours ago, he was just a McDonald's manager trying to get through another Friday night shift. Now he was about to become part of something that could change hundreds of lives. But there was still one more revelation coming. One that would explain not just why this meeting had happened, but why Marcus Williams had been the perfect person to bring this family back together, and it would come from an unexpected source. A voice on the phone that would connect all the dots and reveal the true miracle of this night. Jordan put the phone on speaker as it rang. After 3 rings, Keisha's excited voice filled the booth. Marcus Jordan, please tell me you finally talked to your dad. Hi, Keisha, the younger Marcus said with a smile. Yes, I'm sitting here with him right now. And guess what? Your brother is here too. What? Keisha's voice was so loud that people at nearby tables turned to look. Marcus is there? My Marcus? The one and only, Marcus Williams said, leaning toward the phone. Hey, baby sister. Oh my God, I can't believe this. Keisha's voice was full of tears and laughter. This is impossible. How are you all together? It's a long story, Jordan said into the phone. But Keisha, there's something we need to tell you. Something important. What is it? Keisha asked, her voice suddenly serious. Your brother and my son are going to be working together, Jordan explained. We're starting a community center, and we want you to be part of it. There was silence on the phone for a long moment. Then Keisha spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Jordan, is that really you? It's really me, Jordan replied gently. And I've heard incredible things about you from my son. I don't know what to say, Keisha said. This feels like a dream. It feels pretty surreal to us too, Marcus Williams said. Keisha, did you know that you've been working with Michael Jordan's son this whole time? He just told me his first name was Marcus, Keisha replied. There are so many kids named Marcus in Chicago, I never thought. "Oh my God, wait. What is it?" the younger Marcus asked. "Marcus, do you remember that story you told me about a kid named Damon?" Keisha's voice was getting excited again. "Yeah, what about it?" "You said he was inspired by someone he met at the community center. Someone who taught him that heroes show up every day, not just on TV." "Right," the younger Marcus said, confused. "That was you, Keisha. You're the one who told him that." "No," Keisha said slowly. "I told him that because it's what my brother always taught me. But Marcus, the person who actually inspired Damon, wasn't me." Marcus Williams felt his heart start to race. "What do you mean?" "Last week, Damon brought someone to the community center," Keisha continued. "Someone he wanted us to meet. He said this person was his real hero, the one who saved his family 3 years ago." The three men looked at each other with growing understanding. "Keisha," Marcus Williams said quietly, "who did Damon bring?" "His older brother," Keisha replied. "A 15-year-old named Michael Johnson." "Marcus, he's been looking for you for 3 years." Marcus Williams felt the blood drain from his face. "Michael Johnson? Mrs. Johnson's son?" "Yes," Keisha said. "And Marcus, when Michael found out I was your sister, he started crying. He said he'd been praying for years that he'd find a way to thank the man who saved his family." Jordan looked at Marcus Williams with amazement. "You mean to tell me that the boy who inspired me to build this community center has been looking for Marcus this whole time?" "It gets better," Keisha said, her voice full of wonder. "Michael has been volunteering at the community center too. He's been helping your son Marcus with the younger kids, including Damon. They've become like brothers." The younger Marcus sat back in shock. "Michael Johnson has been working with me? The tall kid with the amazing jump shot?" "That's him," Keisha confirmed. "And Marcus, he's been telling all the kids about his hero, a McDonald's manager who believed in his family when nobody else would. Half the kids at the center know your story by heart." Marcus Williams put his head in his hands. "This is unbelievable." "There's more," Keisha said gently. "Michael asked me to do something for him. He didn't know how to contact you directly, so he asked me to write a letter thanking you for everything you did for his family." "The letter to the Chicago Tribune," Jordan said. "You wrote that?" "I helped him write it," Keisha confirmed, "but every word came from his heart. Marcus, that boy worships you. He says you taught him that one person can change everything for a family in crisis." The younger Marcus looked at his father. "Dad, do you realize what this means?" Jordan nodded slowly. "It means that Marcus's act of kindness 3 years ago started a chain reaction that led to all of us being here tonight. It means more than that," Keisha said from the phone. "It means that everything we've been trying to do at the community center, helping kids believe in themselves, showing them that people care, it all started with my brother's example." Marcus Williams looked up, his eyes red with emotion. "I just bought them dinner. I didn't know it would lead to all this." "That's the point," the younger Marcus said. "You didn't do it for recognition or to start something big. You did it because it was the right thing to do. That's what made it so powerful." Jordan leaned toward the phone. "Keisha, is Michael there with you now?" "Actually, yes," Keisha replied. "He comes over sometimes to study with me. Do you want to talk to him?" "More than anything," Jordan said. There was some shuffling on the phone, then a young man's voice came through, nervous but clear. "Hello? Mr. Jordan?" "Hello, Michael." Jordan replied. "I've been wanting to meet you for a long time." "You have?" Michael's voice was filled with disbelief. "Your letter changed my life," Jordan said simply. "It reminded me why I started playing basketball in the first place, to show kids that anything is possible." "Mr. Jordan, I can't believe." "I'm talking to you," Michael said. "But sir, the person you really need to thank is Mr. Williams. He's the one who saved my family." "He's right here," Jordan said. "Would you like to talk to him?" "Mr. Williams?" Michael's voice cracked with emotion. "Is that really you?" Marcus Williams wiped his eyes. "Hey, Michael, I heard you're doing pretty well for yourself these days." "Mr. Williams, I've been looking for you for 3 years," Michael said, and they could all hear him crying. "I wanted to tell you that, because of what you did, my mom has a good job now. My little sister is in honors classes. My brother is learning to read. And I'm going to college next year on a basketball scholarship." "Michael, that's incredible," Marcus Williams said. "But you did all that. I just bought you dinner one time." "No, sir," Michael replied firmly. "You did more than that. You showed us that someone cared. You gave us hope when we had nothing left. You saved our whole family." The booth fell silent except for the sound of people crying. Michael on the phone, Marcus Williams at the table, and even Jordan wiping his eyes. "Michael," Jordan said finally, "how would you like to be part of something that could help hundreds of families like yours?" "What do you mean?" "We're building a community center," Jordan explained, "and we want you to help us design the programs. You understand what kids need because you've been there." "You want me to help?" Michael asked, his voice full of wonder. "We want you to lead," the younger Marcus said. "You and Keisha and Mr. Williams and me, all of us working together." "But I'm just a high school kid," Michael protested. 3 years ago, I was just a McDonald's manager," Marcus Williams said. "Sometimes the best leaders are the people who never expected to lead." Jordan smiled as he listened to this conversation. "Michael, there's something else. The community center we're building? We want to name it after someone who represents what we're trying to do." "Who?" Michael asked. Jordan looked at Marcus Williams. "We want to call it the Williams Family Community Center, after Marcus and Keisha Williams, 2 people who proved that heroes come in all forms." Marcus Williams shook his head. "You can't name it after us. We haven't done anything that special." "That's exactly why we should name it after you, the younger," Marcus said. "Because you don't think what you did was special. That's what makes it extraordinary." Keisha's voice came back on the phone. "Marcus, say yes, please. This could help so many families." Marcus Williams looked around the table at Jordan and his son, then spoke to the phone where his sister and Michael Johnson were waiting for his answer. "Okay," he said finally, "but only if we all do this together, all of us, as a family." "Deal," said everyone at once, Jordan and his son at the table, Keisha and Michael on the phone. As Jordan ended the call, he looked at Marcus Williams with deep respect. "You know, I came here tonight thinking I was trying to save my relationship with my son. But it turns out, you've been saving families long before I figured out what really mattered." "We all save each other," Marcus Williams replied. "That's what families do." And as the 4 of them sat in that South Side McDonald's, making plans to change the world one child at a time, Marcus Williams realized that sometimes the most extraordinary stories begin with the most ordinary moments. Like a basketball legend walking into your restaurant and asking for a Big Mac. 6 months later, Marcus Williams stood in the middle of what would soon become the Williams Family Community Center. The 50,000-square-foot building was still under construction, but he could already see the vision coming to life. Basketball courts stretched across one side of the space, while classrooms and computer labs were taking shape on the other. "Marcus, you need to see this," called out Keisha from across the room. She was standing near what would become the main entrance, holding her phone up to show him something on the screen. Marcus walked over, his work boots echoing in the empty space. On Keisha's phone was a news article from the Chicago Tribune with the headline, "Local Hero Helps Build Dreams. Williams Family Community Center set to open next month." "They interviewed Mrs. Johnson," Keisha said, scrolling through the article. "Listen to this. Marcus Williams didn't just save my family 3 years ago. He saved our future. Now, he's going to save hundreds of other families too." Marcus shook, his head still uncomfortable with all the attention. "I just hope we can live up to everyone's expectations." "We will," said a familiar voice behind them. Marcus turned to see the younger Marcus Jordan walking into the building, followed by his father and Michael Johnson. The younger Marcus was carrying architectural plans under his arm, while Michael had a basketball tucked under his. "How are the permits coming along?" Jordan asked, joining the group near the entrance. "All approved," Marcus Williams replied. "We should be ready for our soft opening in 3 weeks, just like we planned." Over the past 6 months, the 5 of them had become closer than Marcus ever imagined possible. They met every week at the same McDonald's where it all started, planning programs and solving problems. What had begun as a chance encounter had grown into something that felt like destiny. "Michael, how are the basketball programs shaping up?" Marcus Williams asked. Michael Johnson, now 18 and preparing for his freshman year at DePaul University, grinned widely. "We have 12 volunteer coaches signed up and 43 kids already registered for the after-school league. Damon is so excited he can barely sleep." "Speaking of Damon," the younger Marcus said, "he wanted me to give you this." He handed Marcus Williams a folded piece of paper. Inside was a crayon drawing of a basketball court with stick figures playing. At the bottom, in careful 8-year-old handwriting, it said, "Thank you, Mr. Marcus, for making dreams come true." Marcus Williams felt his eyes water, just like they did every time one of the kids did something to remind him why this project mattered so much. "The tutoring programs are filling up fast, too," Keisha added. "We have 25 volunteer tutors, including 5 teachers from my college. And Mrs. Patterson from the elementary school says she's sending us her most at-risk students." Jordan nodded approvingly. "What about the job training programs?" "That's the best news," Marcus Williams said. "We've got partnerships with 6 local businesses who are committed to hiring our graduates. Everything from construction to restaurant management to office work." "Restaurant management?" Jordan asked with a smile. "I wonder where that idea came from." Marcus Williams laughed. "Well, I figured if McDonald's was good enough to teach me leadership skills, we should help other people learn them too." The younger Marcus unrolled the architectural plans on a makeshift table. "Dad, you need to see the final design for the memorial wall." Jordan looked at the plans, which showed a wall near the main entrance dedicated to everyday heroes. The centerpiece would be a plaque telling the story of Marcus Williams and the Pai Johnson family, but surrounding it would be spaces for other stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. "This is perfect," Jordan said softly. "It captures exactly what we're trying to celebrate here." "It was Michael's idea," the younger Marcus said, gesturing to Michael Johnson. "He said the center should honor all the heroes, not just the famous ones." Michael Johnson looked embarrassed by the attention. "My mom always says that heroes are the people who show up when nobody's watching. Mr. Williams taught us that." "Your mom is a wise woman," Marcus Williams said. "How is she doing, by the way?" "She's amazing," Michael replied. "She got promoted to supervisor at the cleaning company last month. And my little sister made honor roll again." "That's wonderful," Keisha said, See? This is why we're doing all this. To help more families have success stories like yours. Jordan walked over to where the main basketball court was taking shape. You know, I've built a lot of things in my life. Businesses, brands, even basketball teams. But this feels different. How so? Marcus Williams asked. Because this isn't about me, Jordan replied. It's about all of us. It's about the community. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm building something that will outlast anything I ever did on a basketball court. The younger Marcus joined his father on the court. Dad, can I tell you something? Of course. 6 months ago, when I walked into that McDonald's, I was angry and lost and didn't know who I was supposed to be, the younger Marcus said. But watching you work with Marcus and Keisha and Michael, seeing you care more about helping kids than about being famous, that's when I finally understood who my father really is. Jordan put his arm around his son's shoulders. And I learned who my son really is. Someone with a heart bigger than any basketball arena. Marcus Williams watched this father-son moment and thought about his own journey. 6 months ago, he was just trying to get through each day, taking care of his sister and working toward a distant dream of owning his own restaurant. Now he was about to become the general manager of a community center that would serve hundreds of families. Marcus, Jordan said, walking back over to the group. I have something for you. He handed Marcus Williams an envelope. Inside was a check. For $50,000? What's this for? Marcus Williams asked, confused. Your first year's salary as general manager, Jordan replied. Plus, a signing bonus for agreeing to take on the biggest job of your life. Marcus Williams stared at the check. It was more money than he'd ever seen at one time. Jordan, this is too much. Actually, it's not enough, Jordan replied. But it's what we budgeted for now. When the center starts generating its own revenue through programs and partnerships, we'll talk about a raise. I don't know what to say, Marcus Williams said. Say you'll keep being the leader this community needs, the younger Marcus said. Say you'll keep showing up for families the way you showed up for the Johnsons. Say you'll help us prove that heroes come in all sizes, Keisha added. Say you'll teach other people what you taught me, Michael Johnson said. That one person really can change everything. Marcus Williams looked around at these 4 people who had become his chosen family. 6 months ago, they were strangers. Now they were partners in something that could change thousands of lives. I promise, he said finally. I promise I'll give everything I have to make this work. Jordan smiled and extended his hand. Then let's shake on it. Partners in changing the world, one child at a time. As they all shook hands in the middle of the empty building, Marcus Williams thought about how much had changed since that Friday night in October. Michael Jordan had walked into his McDonald's looking for his son, but he'd found something bigger, a reminder of what really mattered. You know what the best part is? The younger Marcus said as they stood in their circle. What? Everyone asked. At once. In 3 weeks, when we open this place, the first kids through those doors are going to be Damon and all his friends from the community center. They're going to see that dreams really do come true. And they're going to learn that they can make dreams come true for other kids too, Keisha added. That's the whole point, Jordan said. We're not just building a community center, we're building hope. We're showing kids that their stories matter, that their lives have value, that someone believes in them. Marcus Williams nodded. And we're showing them that ordinary people can do extraordinary things, that you don't have to be famous or rich or special to change the world. You just have to care enough to try. As the sun began to set through the large windows that would soon look out on basketball courts filled with laughing children, the 5, of them stood together in their unfinished building and made a silent promise to every child who would walk through those doors. They promised to see each child for who they really were, not who they were supposed to be. They promised to show up day after day, no matter how hard things got. They promised to prove that heroes aren't just people on TV or in magazines. Heroes are people who believe in you when you can't believe in yourself. And in 3 weeks, when the Williams Family Community Center opened its doors for the first time, that promise would begin to change lives in ways none of them could have imagined. But tonight, standing in their empty building full of infinite possibility, they knew they had already changed the most important life of all, each other's. We'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and tell us your city or country. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories like this one. We share real tales of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, proving that kindness and compassion can change the world. And don't keep this story to yourself. Share it with your friends and family. Let's spread kindness and awareness together, one story at a time. Because, just like Marcus Williams showed us, you never know how one simple act of caring might change someone's entire life. Thank you for listening, and remember, heroes come in all forms. Maybe today, you'll be someone's hero too.